Hi everyone, happy Friday. My name is Izzy and I'm the co-founder here at Kind Community, and this is the Kind Community Show. We share stories of founders, activists, and influencers promoting positivity and protection of our planet, discussing how collaboration can help make the sustainable attainable. On today's episode, we have Alice Ojeda, founder of Authnetic House, an eco-friendly subscription box, an online shop for sustainable home and self-care supplies. Equipped with plenty of experience in the world of marketing and digital innovation, in 2018, Alice founded Authnetic House to be the home of sustainable living. The business hosts domestic and self-care products available in a nifty subscription service. Authnetic House has since expanded into its own range of beauty and wellness products, wholly natural and as caring for the planet as it is for our own bodies. Alice is here today to talk about her journey, the importance of being at peace with our environment, and how you can easily get a hold of her natural alternatives. Alice, hello. It's so nice to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Izzy. Thank you so much for having me. I've really been enjoying the Kind Community podcast, and it's lovely to have that introduction. Excited to talk to you today.
Oh, thank you so much. We're really happy to have you. So being eco-conscious and at peace with our environment is something that you're very passionate about. But have you always felt this to be true in your life? And how has the journey been like for you to achieve this peace?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's something I've thought about as I've gone. I think a lot of how we grow up depends on the values of our parents. And my mum was quite before her time in terms of buying organic, buying from farmers markets. We would always, I'd be dragged out for a walk in nature. We lived in Wales, still live in Wales now. Be dragged out for a walk in the mountains or by the sea every Sunday. And I didn't always like it, but I think that nature was always a presence as I was growing up. But I guess the change happens, and when you move out, you have to look at how you're going to live your life. And one of my values, which I think was very similar to many students, is to live on a budget and to be really cheap. And so I was proud of taking the cheapest options, which are probably not the most eco-friendly, and I kind of drew away from those initial values. And then actually, I studied French and English literature at Edinburgh, and afterwards I went to work in financial services, which is probably not something really aligned to my passions. But I found that more and more I was going for just a way of life that was quite separate from the environment, from social issues. I always would have told you I cared about the environment and wanted to protect the planet, and I cared about climate change, but none of it was really matched in my actions. I was just a typical marketeer. I would buy disposable coffee cups. I didn't really notice how could I make the difference? I would vote, but that was about it. And then a changing point came for me when my mum gave me a journal, and I started writing in it every day and started thinking about what did I actually want from life? And I could feel a sense of malaise about what I was currently doing. And then I had a brilliant conversation. Sometimes there are people around you who you just need to learn a bit more about them, and they can really tell you something. And I spoke to a guy who was in the strategy team at my work, and the conversation completely veered off topic. And he told me about his life purpose, which was to create social good through bringing people together, first in a charity in Syria, and then it had all disbanded, and he was doing it again in Edinburgh. And I thought about what was my purpose and how was I he said you want to be at the center of your purpose, not milling around other people's agendas. I thought, what is it that I wanted to do? Yeah, so I kept writing in my journal, and then I realized that really put a fire in me, and I wanted to leave my corporate job and to explore what else I could do. So I went traveling with my partner Daniel, who later founded Authnetic House with me. And when I came back, I had a really strong intuition that I wanted to go back to my roots and to found a business that would help people live in a more eco-friendly way. Now, my first way of doing that was actually, I thought that I'd set up a directory for how to create an eco-friendly home. And this was including architects and builders and the literal solar panels, passive house, eco-friendly home. And the irony was that me as a millennial, I wouldn't be able to afford any of this. Again, I was looking at what other people could do. And then I came across eco-friendly products, like coconut brushes, reusable sponges, just the real basic things. And I realized that I could make these changes too. And that was really exciting for me. And it's how I started Authnetic House as a subscription box. And then I guess as I've gone, I mean, that was in 2018. Now I'm trying to share my approach to sustainable living as I keep learning. So I think every year we're all learning about how to create a better future, and actually we realize different things. And so now I'm starting to think of, yeah, how can we live at peace with the environment? It's both in our individual actions, we need to take action, but it's also in how we work with others and how we shape our society in a way that can live in harmony with the planet. Because right now, I think that's kind of at the opposite end of what we're currently doing.
Absolutely. No, I love that, because I love how it's kind of, your life has kind of come full circle, but you've learned from everyone along the way. And I really like that point around finding your purpose and what you're passionate about, but actually living that, which I feel could be maybe overwhelming to some people. Like that's quite a big question to ask yourself, is what's your purpose? But to take the time and really find your passion is so important to, I think, to reconnecting. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think we all react to it in different ways. I'm quite impulsive, so the minute I knew that maybe I wasn't being true to myself or like to the good that I actually wanted to do in the world, I did I let plans go and I left my job. I think other
Okay.
people might do it as a side hustle, or they might find that purpose
Sure.
more through investing more in their volunteering. I mean, it's each to their own.
Absolutely. No, that's so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Last week was National Volunteers Week, and as we were researching into a bit more of kind of your journey, we realized that I believe it was in 2017 you took a sabbatical to volunteer in Peru, which sounds absolutely incredible. It seems that when you returned, you knew that that was kind of when you wanted to live more sustainable and be more authentically. Was that was what you wanted to pursue next? Can you share with us a bit more about that experience and how it's shaped kind of what you're doing today?
Yeah, of course. Volunteering has always been very important to me. So it's something I always have done actually, like in different places. In Britain, I used to volunteer with the brownies or picking salad with refugees. I think it's just, yeah, it is important. Going to Peru, I think I'd been to, it was a not-for-profit that I had been to 4 years before, and I'd had the most wonderful experience. So I'm half Peruvian, and I had like part of a vested interest in that I wanted to go and see my family there, see the culture. And it was set in the Amazon, and we were in the north of Peru, and we were teaching English to the children who would come from a very disadvantaged community all around us, and they'd come and we give them maths lessons as well. It's quite funny teaching maths in Spanish. Like I'm not a native speaker, but I do my best. Um, yeah, and I guess the first time I went, I had the best experience because I really got to know the locals and I understood a little bit about how they lived. So, for example, they have problems there with locals cutting down the rainforest because they need homes. And there's also problems with gangsters cutting down the rainforest to sell homes. But there's a lot of like lack of choice around poverty. And when you go to the rivers there, like the river water is hot like a bath, but it's
Wow.
also, yeah, it's amazing. And you can see pink dolphins. But often at the edges, it's just like filled with bottles and people will throw polystyrene boxes in there, because there's a lack of education, but I guess also a lack of opportunity to throw away your waste, like, or to recycle it in a better way. When I came back to Peru, I came with my partner Daniel, and the charity had changed, to be honest. It had many more people, and it had a bit of a nasty culture, not around the Peruvians, but around the volunteers. And I realized that with that charity, I'd been wanting a purposeful life, but I think I thought this was a quick fix that someone would do it for me. And so I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to do, but I couldn't really get it through. And I realized after a while that actually it was a sign that I needed to go and do something myself and almost prove my ideas independently first. So we left a bit earlier, and we went traveling. We were going to spend like a year abroad, but in the end, we just spent a bit less time and traveled. And we went to Cuba, where I saw like a proper, where you find out a lot about sustainability in Cuba because they haven't got plastic bags. So if you want a plastic bag in Cuba, you have to ask, because I wasn't very aware of that, like plastic pollution at the time. They'll take out a plastic bag out of a drawer, like the one bag in the shop, and they'll unfold it for you, and you've got that bag.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, like they're really precious. And we saw a sustainable farm in Cuba, and then later on we went to Chile, and in Chile, anyone can create a national park. So they've almost got a problem of too many national parks, which is just pretty amazing. And I think by the end,
it doesn't seem like very much a big problem. Yeah.
You can buy a ticket to anyone's national park and go for a walk in it.
Oh wow.
It's crazy. Like I think that's part of the legacy left by Patagonia. But yeah, and by the time I came back, I was really, really revving to do something, because you visit places, even when you volunteer abroad, you visit, you see that I kind of feel like in your own country, you can make the change because you've got the background. You can make a change in other countries, but it's a lot harder.
No, definitely. And if you have the privilege to be able to go and see firsthand, I'm sure that has really kind of helped that journey. We noticed that, well, it has to be said that the product photography on your site is really beautiful. It captures something very special about the naturality of your products. Can you share with us how many unique products do you stock, and can any climate conscious producer hold a place on your site?
Yeah, thank you first of all. I think the product photography was part of a journey for me, because I take most of the photos, and now we have a photographer as well who's helping, which is amazing. We've got about 240 products on the website at the moment. And when it comes to, I only work with eco-conscious makers, and we make some of our own products too, in line with in a network of craftspeople. What I look for is basically plastic minimal products. So often I will ask for aluminium lids, not even the plastic lids. I look for the packaging, what people are using. I will favor organic ingredients and organic cotton. And then as I'm not a marketplace, so I'm not one of those websites that are trying to stock everything, but what I try to do is stock the best. So as I fill our eco-friendly subscription boxes, which come out every month, I end up meeting a lot of different people. And if my customers like their products, I will extend and stock their entire range. And I tend to just experiment and see, what are people liking, what are they enjoying. And because I keep the products at home, I also try them myself, and I see, what do I like, what's better, and also where are we thinking, where are the next steps where we can make sustainable changes, and what is greenwashing, what products do we not need. For example, I don't tend to stock bamboo cutlery and things like that. So develop my taste as we go.
Yeah. And how do you listen to your customer? Is it through kind of direct kind of contact? Is it through kind of surveys? Like, how do you get that feedback?
At the very beginning, I asked some of my customers to come on a call with me around Christmas time of our first year. And that was really nice. And the ones that were in Cardiff, where we're based, I went and bought them a cup of tea, and we sat together, and they told me all about what they thought about Authnetic House, where I could improve. But now I'd say the main vehicle is Instagram, because you have lots of customers commenting. I try to share personal things, and I'll share in stories what we're doing, and I'll ask them, like, what do you think? Or what would you suggest? What should we stock? And people really get in touch. And I love it, because I can then, I recognize names, and I kind of know my customers, and I can also see what their life is like. And right now, for example, I'm trying to involve customers more in our marketing. So in the past, I know there's a lot of pressure for e-commerce businesses to spend money on Facebook for advertising. And I've tried it in the past, but what I want to do now is, we're having a campaign, which we're calling the Home Life campaign. And we've asked customers to apply, and they need to take 3 pictures of our products. We'll send them like a box, and they've already told us like what are their values as people, and what does sustainable living mean to them. So it's about kind of sharing our customers and giving them a platform too, but also understanding them at the same time. I really enjoy it. I think you can't deal with other people, other customers, as purely a business nowadays. Particularly as a small business, I deal with them, as people, and they know us by name.
Absolutely. Oh, that's incredible. And your own range of soap bars look good enough to eat, although maybe ill-advised. What goes into them, and how do you ensure that the ingredients that you source are sustainably sourced?
Yes, it's a good question. I mean, we have soap, body soap, we have hair care, we've now got moisturizers, and we have body moisturizers too. And I create that range through working really closely with other makers, because for me, I know my strengths. I'm primarily a designer and a curator. So we had our first range that was stocked at the end of 2019. And since then, I've built my relationship with those makers. So some of them started off with teaching me about the importance of organic ingredients. So our hair care has all like organic shea butter, organic coconut oil, organic olive oil. Our moisturizer bars are 100% organic ingredients. And with other makers, for example, the soaps are completely palm free, which was always important. But that's about working now with Keely, who makes them for us. And now we're looking at, okay, can we start swapping in more organic ingredients for what you would normally use? And she's starting to look at that, and we're thinking, the question is if people are willing to pay a little bit extra for the organic, but I think that's an education piece. And as part of my values, I want to have more organic products. With Keely, we recently made a face cream, which came out last month, and that has organic ingredients. All the plant oils and butters are organic, and that we had to wait a whole year to get, in terms of working with her and showing her and building the trust that this actually was the right idea. So yeah, I'd say it is a process, because I don't make the products just myself. I work with a network of people, and we do it together.
Collaboration. We love it.
Yeah.
You talk about the importance of abundance as an energy within ourselves, which I love. Can you explore this idea with us a little bit more, and what led you to arrive at this?
I think abundance that was a personal word for me, starting this year. And it could have been in reaction to 2020 and how things have gone. But I guess when you think about abundance in terms of sustainable living, it's also pitted with minimalism as an idea too. And minimalism being like not owning more than you need. So, for example, when I started out with Authnetic House, we were just coming to the end of, I think the zero waste living had started to become quite popular. And there were a lot of influencers with mason jars. And I think when I started, they were just stepping back from that, because that is very sparse. Like they're counting every bit of plastic that they put into a little mason jar.
Yeah.
And so there was an idea that actually we can be more inclusive, and we don't have to be so not so strict with ourselves. So when I started Authnetic House, I did have that kind of minimalist mindset. I wouldn't buy anything I didn't need. I was so careful. And I think you kind of need that actually when you want to start a business. Being financially so kind of so reserved with my savings, that allowed me to go through those first few years of Authnetic House.
Yeah.
But I think that having that approach to a business or to sustainable living will take a toll on your mental health. And so 2020, I'd say, was a year that for me was characterized by, we had huge growth. It was a really difficult time for everyone. And suddenly we were really busy because we were online, and we grew 5 times over. So it was full of really, really hard work. And by the end, come January, I really thought to myself, I want to bring in a sense of abundance again. So connect with the joyful parts about sustainable living. I mean, I read a really good book called Joyful by Ingrid Fettel, and she talks about shapes and nature and the things that make us happy. And these can be physical things, and how a lot of the time we might think happiness can only come from within, like with meditation, but it's actually a balance. So I'm still quite minimalist at home. Our home is full of basically our business anyway, so I need to be. But one thing I've done in terms of abundance is I'm trying to plan in more good things as lockdown ends. And I'm also trying to give more gifts, which is funny because Authnetic House itself is often used, like loads of people buy gifts off us. But I think that by being generous with others, you create a sense of abundance. And then I think a last element of abundance is the bad side of that can be consuming too much and buying too much. And I've learned a lot about rewilding recently and how our natural world, I think we've lost more than half of our wildlife since 1975. And so when the natural world gets more boring, and there's not so much to see, and apparently the deprived areas of cities tend to have the fewest trees, then maybe we start bringing things into our homes to make up for that lack, that scarcity in nature and that lack of space as well. And so now I'm also thinking about how I engage in rewilding too, because we can have abundance within our homes, within our minds, but we also need to have space for things to grow and to thrive outside. So yeah, I'm looking at rewilding on a bigger scale and also in our garden on a micro scale, like letting all the weeds grow, and we're full of like yellow flowers and daffodils, and I love it. So
oh, it sounds
really
lovely. And
no,
that's great. It's such an interesting concept, and I feel like we could talk about this for hours. But and can you just remind me of the book that you mentioned that that you enjoyed? It was Joyful by who?
Ingrid Fettel Lee. She has a really good Instagram account called Aesthetics of Joy, and she goes light spotting for beautiful bits of design, colorful things that just make you feel happy.
Oh, fantastic. We'll have to look it up. Thanks for sharing. So another question I had was, it's often difficult for sustainable brands to get off the ground, but the consumer demand for more ethical product is here. What has been your biggest challenge since founding Authnetic House in 2018, and how have you overcome it?
I would say that anything can be done if you break it down into small steps. And for me, the biggest challenge was mindset, really, because when you go into starting your own business, you're starting it from absolutely nothing. And I joined the NatWest Accelerator, gives space to small businesses, and they were great with me and like really helpful. But they did have an attitude of build bigger, faster, stronger, push, that idea that you need to scale a business and get investment and sell it, and that was that. And for a while, I tried to do that. I would work really late, and I started Authnetic House. Once I had the idea of a subscription box, it took me 1 month, and I had a launch party, and I started it. So it was really fast in that way, but it took a toll because you're always expecting more and more of yourself. And one of the changes that happened for me that made a big difference. Oh, sorry. My partner came back. One of the changes that made a big difference was when we got accepted onto Red Bull's social innovation program, and they took us away for a 9-day course. And in it, one of the most, it was revolutionary really for me to hear from their health coach, who said, you can't pour from a cup that is not already overflowing. And she really taught us about self-care, meditation, scheduling, setting time. And I've been on a journey since then, like managing stress, managing anxiety, and actually starting to enjoy the process more, be more relaxed, be more myself. And that's why I try to share that with my customers now and with people on Instagram, because I don't think you can just talk about a sustainable living journey without talking about the health of your mind and your energy, because if you do not sustain that energy, you cannot fulfill your purpose. Or if you do fulfill it and you're not enjoying it, that was the whole process. So yeah, it's about
absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. I think being kind with yourself, in order to be able to be kind to others, and taking the time to really just not be so hard on yourself, because I think there's this culture as well, it's like this hustle culture, always want to do everything. And I think as entrepreneurs, we do just want to do everything at once. And I think it's really important to kind of be in tune with yourself. I couldn't agree more. Finally, can you share what's next for Authnetic House, and what are you most hopeful for, and what keeps you up at night?
Okay. In terms of what is next, I think in my sustainable living journey, I've realized that small changes they're really important for individuals for building up confidence and motivation, but we cannot change the world quickly enough through just small changes alone. So what I'm doing now is I'm reading a lot more and learning about rewilding. I'm learning about climate change and like what we can do in a bigger way, learning about activism, and I'm trying to share what I learn with people on our Instagram. So I talk about both sides, like the macro and the micro.
Yeah.
For Authnetic House, I love creating products, and I think I've got the bug. So I want to start creating more products from scratch, and particularly these kind of sustainable products that you will use again and again, not just consumables, like things that you might prize and really look after. So I have invested in a few meters of pineapple leather, which we're going to be experimenting with really soon to try and create more.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And so going deeper into the design and maybe making some things that don't already exist. And in general, I guess I'm kind of excited for some of the changes that are afoot that maybe the pandemic has hastened. So, for example, in Wales, we might be getting a universal basic income, at least it's been tested. And I think that's really exciting. That's where everybody in the country will receive a certain amount, like with which they can live, a certain amount of money. And that's good because I think throughout my whole story that I've shared with you, you can see I've had a bit of privilege, which has allowed me to explore, allow me to be creative and do things. But I think if we have a universal basic income, more people will have that opportunity. We can work together on the bigger things rather than just worrying about the short term. And I guess what I'm worried about is that maybe after 2020, everything just reverts to normal, and that we don't make the changes that we need in time to stop climate change, or that we keep focusing on reforming the current system rather than changing it. So, for example, I don't believe in career politicians. I think we need more citizens' assemblies, and we need more people to be involved in setting the course of our country. So, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Alice, for sharing. And we're so excited to follow your journey. Before we end the conversation today, I have a quick fire round. So 3 questions. The first one is, how do you define sustainability?
Sustainability is creating a vision of a better future where everyone's needs are met within the limits of the planet, and it's working towards that day by day.
Wow. I feel like you've answered this one before. Alice, that was really great.
You asked me in advance. I thought about it.
What's your favorite sustainability hack?
Reading books, because if you can give your attention to a book, it can change the way you think over the course of the pages. And if you share that book, you can create a ripple effect.
Absolutely. Sharing is key. And what's your top tip for fostering positive energy within ourselves and others?
I'd say a morning routine, because if every day you can care for yourself, your body and your mind, and set an intention to be of service to other people, that's the best way of starting to actually go out and do that and help others.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alice. It was great learning more about you and your connection to sustainability. Can you please let our audience know where they can find you in Authnetic House?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Izzy, for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it and chatting with you today. And people can find Authnetic House at authentichouse.co.uk, on our Instagram at Authnetic House UK, and in our newsletter, I also share all the sustainable living ideas and things I'm reading at the moment too.
Oh, fantastic. Well, again, as I mentioned, we're really looking forward to continuing to follow your journey. Thank you so much, Alice. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed my conversation with Alice today, please do share, like, and subscribe to our channel for more conversations like this. We go live every Friday, and we very much look forward to having you join us next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.